welcome to another edition of Travel Leaders Tri-Cities Sail Away Saturdays on Newstalk 870 KFLD with your host, John McKay, the star of the show, Sandra. And let's just jump right in because we got a lot to get to.
We do. I have to say, I'm so excited about today's show. And I'm not the star of the show today. I'm going to introduce the star of the show. We're going to talk about a destination that everybody's interested in. But honestly, until I started researching this thing, I really didn't know a lot. But we have on our line Anna Benetti, who is with Celebrity Cruise Line and is an authority on their 3 ships that cruise the Galapagos Islands. I'm very excited to introduce her. We have so much to talk about. So, Anna, let's just jump in. I asked her to do a series of questions with some answers, and that's where we're going. So here we go. So, first off, where are the Galapagos Islands and why do you want to go there?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sandra, for the introduction. I truly am delighted to be able to spend a few minutes with you both just to give you some insights. So the Galapagos Islands are located 600 miles off the west coast of Ecuador. Most guests will be flying into the capital city of Quito.
And I do think I know where that is. So after that, tell me what is so great about the Galapagos that people would go that far, invest their time and effort. What makes this such a unique destination?
So there's so many reasons why these enchanted islands are so unique, starting with the unique flora and fauna that doesn't exist anywhere else on this planet. The animals in the Galapagos, they have no natural fear of humans. So they're just as curious of us as we are of them. Also, the ability for these plants and animals to adapt and evolve and ultimately become their own species that can't be found anywhere else. And for me, I think it's, one of the few places that are left on this planet where the human footprint is really kept to a minimum. So there's so many stories and there's so many great examples as to why this is.
And do you have to be a specific kind of traveler to be able to do this kind of a trip?
I think you just have to be a curious traveler. The Galapagos Islands have so much, it's a living laboratory. There's so much to see and to explore. I think as long as you're a little bit curious and you're open to seeing some things that you can't see anywhere else, it's definitely worth experience to try out.
So on Facebook last night, I was amazed because once you start researching something, then all of a sudden it's part of your world. I saw 2 guys with 2 tortoises from the Galapagos Islands that were like nothing I had ever seen before.
Yeah, and the curious thing about the Galapagos tortoise, and I'm glad you brought it up, I think it's such a great example about adaptation and evolution. So the Galapagos tortoise actually varies from island to island, depending on its food source and environment, just the way that it looks. So if you start looking and paying attention to those pictures that you see online, or when you get the chance to go, pay attention. You'll notice some of them will have maybe a concave shell, a longer neck, and that's simply that they've evolved to be able to eat in that island. So just a great example of evolution there.
That's so amazing. I was very impressed by that. So each island has their own thing. And how many islands are there?
So there's a total of about 19 islands, but this is a very large archipelago with lots of very small islands as well. So right now, Celebrity is visiting, as you may know, we acquired 2 additional ships in the islands. So now we have a total of 15 islands that we're visiting, but within those islands, we visit over 30 ports of call. So it may be the same island, but we're able to land in different parts of it. And the curious thing is that you could be on the same island, but the landscapes could be totally different. So just really interesting there.
How many times have you been there?
I've been there for a couple of times. So I've had the opportunity in this role to be able to travel multiple times to the Galapagos, which I know is not a common thing. But the curious thing, and the thing that I think surprises me the most, is no matter how many times I go, or no matter what reason I'm there for, sometimes I don't even get a chance to get on the ship. I'm just there for meetings or something like that. I still always see something new. I still always see something different. And I always come back amazed. And sometimes the pictures are just on my phone, and it's incredible. And my family still can't believe it. You know, they're like, I can't believe you still are seeing new things, and still getting excited about it.
Well,
so I'm very fortunate in that. And I'm happy to talk about it and get everybody else down there to be able to experience that.
I think that's amazing. I mean, I hear that in your voice. I hear that passion and that level of enthusiasm. And I think I would share that if I got a chance to go down there, because it's really a bucket list trip for a lot of people. And when I start looking around at my own personal friends, I am amazed all of a sudden at the level of interest in going to the Galapagos. So even in my own family, people have gone, and I haven't gone yet. So it's still on my list.
Let me know. We have to get you down there.
I know. Talk to me about celebrity and what a typical day down in the Galapagos Islands might entail if you're on one of your ships.
Absolutely. So in all three of them, we'll have a somewhat similar experience in terms of the day. You just will have smaller groups depending on the size of the vessel. But really, you wake up in the morning, you have breakfast. You'll depart the ship usually for your first excursion between 8:15 and 8:30. And we offer two options. Usually one is a more mild option. It could be a short walk down the beach, or it could be a coastal exploration where you remain on the Zodiac. Or it might be a more strenuous option, which could be a hike, snorkeling, or some swimming on the beach. Then you come back on board, have lunch. You usually have a couple of hour break where the ship will reposition to either another part of the island or a different island entirely. And then after that, during that time, we also do presentations or we do lectures. Some guests will take the time to nap because it is a long day. Then after that, we may have an opportunity to do a deep water snorkel for those advanced people that like to snorkel, to enjoy that. And I would certainly recommend it. Snorkeling in the Galapagos is incredible.
Wetsuit,
and then you can come back on board, quickly change, and head out for a hike or an easy walk, depending on what you select. Then back on board, the naturalists will start setting up for the evening's presentation while guests are getting dressed and ready for dinner. And then during that presentation, we'll talk about what's going on the next day, what excursions will be available, and what wildlife to look out for. So full-packed day, lots to do, but very rewarding. And I think every day you don't expect to see something different or so unique, which I think is really incredible.
So what's the age group of the people that are going to do this?
So it does vary depending on the time of the year. I would say on average, the age would be about 50. However, we do have families. We certainly welcome multi-generational groups to the Galapagos. It really is like a living classroom. So we say, 8 years old should be about the minimum, just so that they really can enjoy it. But we do have like snorkeling right off the beach, which is which is pretty easy for children. And I think it's such a rewarding experience for them as well, to be able to see what they're learning in the classroom live.
So what's the temperature down there? I mean, I'm sure it varies during the year, but we're talking about people snorkeling.
Yes, so the weather is pretty much pleasant throughout the year, simply because of where the Galapagos Islands are located geographically. But the warmer season in terms of the ocean currents probably be between December and June. However, I have gone snorkeling in October and in November, and we do offer complimentary wetsuits. So I usually like doing like the long, we have different types of wetsuits, but I like the long sleeve wetsuit and the short at the knees wetsuit. And I'm from Miami, South Florida, so also please note that, I'm more sensitive to cooler waters, and I was just fine on that. So really it is a year-round destination, which we're so fortunate about. And throughout the year, there's something going on in terms of wildlife.
So when I want to go, well, of course they're going to come to Travel Leaders and we're going to book them. That goes without saying, but how do I get there? And what happens when I get there?
Sure. So fabulous question. So the best way to go about doing this is having your travel leader go ahead and set up your international flight, depending where you're coming from. The majority of our guests do come from the U.S. and Canada and UK. So they would need to assist you with booking your flight in. And then after that, if they book one of our 10-night packages or longer, we pretty much take care of everything else. So from the moment you arrive in Quito, at the Quito airport, we'll pick you up and transfer you to the JW Marriott. You'll spend, all of our packages will have a 2-night pre-stay in Quito, which I think is really important. Quito is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and merits at least a 1-day visit.
Absolutely.
So we include a tour of the colonial city of Quito. We include lunch, full-day tours with our guides. And actually that afternoon, you also get to visit the Middle of the World Park and Museum, which is very, it's a lot of fun. It's very interactive. And of course, you get to take the famous picture with 1 foot on each side of the equator. Then the following day, we fly out to Baltra. So we include that flight. And then we transfer you to the ship, and then you have your 7-night cruise. At the end of the cruise, we'll fly you back to Quito, and then depending on if you add one of our packages, we'll continue that, or we'll assist you all the way to the point that we drop you back off to the Quito airport for your flight home. So it is a very seamless process. Once you are reserved in one of our packages, you are all set. It's all inclusive, so you don't have to worry about dragging your wallet around. It's very easy to, everything is pretty much taken care of for you. We take you by the hand throughout the process, and it really, the only important thing for you to remember is to enjoy it, have a great time, and take pictures.
Well, I can't think of a better way to go, because if I would not be going down there and winging it on my own.
This is definitely something that you really can't just wing it.
Yeah.
The Galapagos National Park are actually protected. It's a protected area. So it's very difficult to travel here on your own. There's entrance fees. There's a Galapagos entrance fee. There's a tourist card fee. And we take care of all of that and include it in our packages. You also can't just wander around. You need to be with a Galapagos National Park certified guide. So on all of our ships, we do have our naturalists on board, and we have the benefit of being able to hand select them and choose, who's going to be with our guests. And we've been in the Galapagos for a long time, since 2004. So we've created some really wonderful relationships with our guides. So it's definitely not a trip to just wing it. It definitely takes a little bit of planning.
Right.
But with your travel agent and your and booking a package, it really is a simple process at that point.
So we're going to take a break. Mm-hmm. And when we come back, we're going to talk about celebrity, because a lot of people know this cruise line and they know they have big, huge ships and go all over the world. But a little known fact is the way in which celebrity does the Galapagos and on who and how. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Anna, you're amazing. This is great. We'll be back in a few.
Right here on News Talk 870.